ingredients?
Oats, two
bananas, milk, peanut butter.
Yeah, that's all. Alafu, ile packet ya nini, kwani Karia alienda nayo?
Packet ya?
Ile packet ilikuwa hapa ya Optimo. Juu the last time niliona ni saa zile nilimuonyesha na sioni. Umeiona mahali?
Optimo.
Yeah. Ile Optimo product
ulikuwa umeweka hapa juu ya meza. Uko na bedroom.
Hebu niangalia, sitani kwa hapo, juu ilikuwa hapa na Karia alikuwa anaiona na sioni. Nichekie hapo kwa bedside. If it's not there, then I have to ask him. Welcome. I know I took some time because this is not going to be very long. Si mnajua is between 8 and 10. I should come at 8, but 8 most of you are still commuting, you are still in your cars and everything. Though it's not just about you, I mean it's global. So nikaona 9 is the best time tukiwa mid-heaven of what you call Taurus or Baal. So I've been seeing, I don't go finding, but pengine nikiwa kwa TL, as I'm browsing TL, nakutana na watu wako na viremba wakiongea. So men have become bitches online. Men are so emotional. Unajua? So I've been observing that thing mnaita chai. And can you imagine gossip being chaired by men? Niliwaambia watu kama Githaiga ni government projects. You see, when you go to the NIS, the National Intelligence Service, unapatanga kiwete. Sikusema kiwete ni kitu mbaya, unapata as role player. So you'll find people, unakutati mtu alikuwa anachoma mahindi, unasikia huyu jamaa alikuwa anachoma mahindi, kumbe kazi yake si kuchoma mahindi, kumbe ni DCI. So don't go for the looks. These people are working. We can't have men sharing gossip channels. That is disgusting. Because those are not men. Away from that. Now, there is a pattern to everything. And this gossip is a pattern to weakness in the masculine. Again. Na ndio maana mpaka unaona hizo vitu za kina mapastors zinahostiwa na kina Githaiga. Again, men. Ikikuja ni moshene, tuachiwa mama moshene. Women are the people who are emotional. So a man who's in emotions is a man who is lacking as a masculine. And we have to remind the men their roles. To go to heaven, you have to get or go through the man. This is deeper than what you think. So what it's saying is, for you to attain anything or to see or get to your goals, you have to get through the man. And here the man is representing the thought or the logic or thinking. Now, one of the biggest problems that we have with our men, okay, is that our men have a problem with what you call flapping. Flapping. What do I mean? And shout out to Nendo, owner, and whatever. What do we call this friend of mine? Anaitwa, whatever his name is. He works for Nendo. Nendo is a company active in, thank you, love. Company active in what you call tech na vitu kama hizo. So, niliwaambia I do research, I do research sometimes. So, sent a message to him. Aitwa Mark Kaigwa. Shout out to Mark Kaigwa of Nendo. He's a friend of mine from a long time ago. So I said, Mark, I need some information and I need you to take some time to gather me the information. I need data on what our men are searching for online. And specifically, between specific times, so I even give him the timings of the data to collect. Okay? So, this is the data. According to research, Google and everything, men, not the younger men, men between the ages of 28 and 63 are searching for porn 93% of their time. Now, Nendo, no, let me not talk even about the company. Okay, so the companies that gather this information, remember, your phone has got sensors. What do I mean? When you are walking, your phone can calculate the steps that you are taking. So when you are watching something on your phone is also collecting data. The information that you are collecting, are you sitting down? The information that whatever you are consuming, are you walking or are you in bed? Now, 93% of the men have been searching for porn. It's okay to watch porn. Okay? It's okay to be curious because anyone, whether it's a man or a woman, after every 2 minutes, your mind has to go into your sexual organs. That is guaranteed because your animalistic natures have to blend in with your higher natures. Hiyo ni guaranteed. There is no man or woman in this world who is going to concentrate on something for more than 4 minutes without thinking about sex in one way, shape, or another. Not the actual thing, but in one way, shape, or another thing. Am I sexy? Is she sexy? Is he sexy? Hiyo ni normal, ni guaranteed. That's not the problem. The fact is, the 93% men are not just watching the porn, but they are also choking their monkey. How is that information collected? Your phone has a microphone. Your microphone picks your breathing rhythm. Na zile vitu zote unafanyanga. I told you this is a spy thing. This is how they get you in marketing. Okay? So all these men who've been watching this, at least 78% will masturbate after watching the porn. Do I really care about whether you masturbate or not? I don't give a shit. You can masturbate as many times you want. However, what happens or what is happening is that you are lowering your testosterone na vitu kama hizo. And for example, I'll give you an example. I told you I like teaching with myself as an example. When I was growing up, back in primary school, I used to have porn magazines. Okay, my dad was working in the armed forces, so I used to steal my father's porn magazines, na nilikuwa naenda nazo shule tunaziangalia in school. So I used to look at porn magazines. I used to share them as long as I would return them. Okay, my father alikuwa nafikiria amefunga box yake vizuri sana, but I used to steal his porn magazines and return them, and he knew ni mimi juu I lost like 2 of them. Na of course najua hata kama alikuwa anachapa mamangu, alijua si mamangu ameiba magazine, but my mom also, they couldn't have the guts to ask me because it is too shameful if your father is asking you if you have seen his porn magazines. So I got into porn at a very young age. Okay, at a very young age. So when it comes to porn, I got into porn addiction from a very young age. So throughout my high school days, I was addicted to porn. Okay? And the fact that my father had bought a Sony TV back then, Trinitron 21 inches color TV, which was like an accomplishment, and a VCR, videotape recorder. So my first consumption of porn were porn like Blackberry Girls. Okay? Wale watu washaiona porn wanajua nikisema Blackberry Girls ni how old those porn tapes would be. Then come what you call the porn industry in form of video. So Sundays kulikuwa na kitu ilikuwa inaitwa kaadoti. Ukaigua so jioni Sunday nilikuwa kierere ikifika 5 ndio mimi huyo around 6 nimeenda kuwatch movie. So movie ya mwisho ya Sunday getagwo kaadoti. Ndathi kuona kaadoti kalikuwa kameandikwa pale chini adults only. Kalikuwa kanalipwa 10 bob, ingine kilipwa 5 bob. So again, so on a daily I'm consuming porn, and every Sunday I'm consuming porn. You get what I'm going with this? So this became an addiction that took me years to be in. And it has taken me years to break from that. Okay? So the people who know me, you know that I'm very explicit when it comes to even posting what you call statuses on my WhatsApp. When you're on my WhatsApp number, you know that I don't shy away from posting um, uh, erotica on my status. Okay, but that's my way of winning from years of porn addiction. And so this live specifically for the men is to help you break from bad habits. Understanding, or you have to know how to break from addictions. In this case, I'll give an example of what I was addicted to, which would be porn. Others are addicted to smoking, others are addicted to drinking. And this is not just for a men only video, this is for everyone, even the women. So we are going to talk about how to use hate, because there's nothing wrong with hate. How to use hate to break your addictions. Let me sip on a drink. Now, if you need to take notes, do so, because this is very important. People pay thousands of dollars to break from addiction, but you can break from addiction very easily. So when people are being set to break on addictions, they are given a date. Unaambiwa, get on your calendar and write down a date that by this day nitakuwa nimeacha hii habit. By this date I'll stop smoking. Okay? By this date you have to distract yourself from whatever you are addicted to ndio uache. But remember what I told you. Everything has been planned, all the way to you failing to break from the addiction has been planned, so that you take longer to get to the solution, because there's money there. There's money going for therapy. There's money for all these things. There's still money, lots of money, to get people to drink. The porn industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So there's money. The porn industry doesn't make money for the porn stars or for you consuming. No. The porn industry makes money because it is a tool used to dumb down the men, to lower their masculinity, their testosterone, so they do not go after their goals. AKA, now you have a community of men who cannot build, so they need to be ruled. Men who can lose their self-confidence na vitu kama hizo. So take notes, okay? Now, the approach that you need to set a date to break an addiction cannot work. We've been there, done that. You have no idea the feeling you get after you have been watching porn and jacked off. At the end of it all, you are left feeling powerless, shameful, weak, disgusted. Okay? That is why you hide. You hide because of the shame. If you are watching porn and you are jacking off, you hide because of the shame. Because you can't imagine someone walking into a room and finding you jacking off. It's not because self-preservation is wrong, but get there, it's what it means to you spiritually when you're doing it. Okay? Every time you relapse again and again, I'll not watch porn. Unazipeana zote, una delete. But after some time, uko hapo. So who is this calling? Yeah, it's a business, but fucker. First of all, saizi tuko live, so no business call until we are done. This is more important than the money. Okay? If you are saving people's lives, it's better than the call. So back to the live. Call baadaye. So now, every time you relapse, into a bad habit. Let's say you want to quit drinking. Let's say you want to quit smoking. I used to chew tobacco, proper chewing of tobacco. Pan, gari yangu NZD ya white ilikuwanga imestain mlango. It was a brilliant white. Ile gari, unajua gari zinakuanga white, but kuna gari inakuanga, my car was brilliant white, my NZD KBR Toyota Assista. So kwa mlango ilikuwa imestain because I used to chew pan ile ya Wahindi. Nilikuwa naenda namwambia ni mixie 120 na 300. Those are two tobacco strains. Natengenezewa ili unafunga hiyo tobacco, inafungwa vizuri, inafungwa vizuri, inafungwa kizuri, unafungiwa vizuri hiyo tobacco, then you una insert hapa. So kazi yako ni kushinda tu ukitema mate. So since I used to drive a cab, every time nikispit mate ilikuwa inamwagikia kwa kioo, to the point the whole mlango ya gari ilikuwa imestain. So I know when I'm talking of addiction what I'm talking about. Na ni mara mingi sana nilikuwa naacha mpaka natupa. I'm like, fuck, nafungua mlango na itupa. And I feel bad about it after relapsing. Naanza kusema, shit. Sasa mbona nimeitupa? Si ningeacha hii weekend ama kesho. So napiga simu, nani yako tao? Pitia mahali fulani hapo Parklands. Nimeongea na Vaite. Eno mwambie ni yangu, anajua venye ananimixia. Okay? So inaekwa saffron. So we used to be in all those addictions. I'm giving you examples. So, and of course najua live kama hii hamwezi share. Juu iongee upuzi ile akina Gethaiga na hizo nonsense. I know you are not going to share a life that is helpful to other people when it comes to addictions. Ni sawa? So, when you relapse, okay? Relapse into that addiction, you feel very bad about yourself. And this is the thing that kills you. Over and over and over. Whenever you are caught off guard from that addiction, you feel bad. Unasema, I will not watch porn again. But umetulia kwa nyumba, una kitu ya kufanya, unachukua simu na browse. Unaangalia kama kuna mtu anakuona, unaamka unafunga curtain, unaenda xnxx.com. Unaenda hapo una search whatever genre you are into, una search. Okay? So, why are you doing this? What you have done, there's nothing wrong with browsing or even going for the porn thing. But what you have done is that you have given into temptation. Remember, this is a spiritual page, so we'll get to the root cause. Ndio ujue how to break free from that addiction from a spiritual side, and how you are going to do it without hating yourself, and how natural is going to come to you, and also how still in future you can still watch that porn. Sikusema you can't watch. You can still watch the porn once in a while kama umelapse, but then you know, shit, I'm still human. The temptation was there, but you are not an addict anymore. You get what I'm saying? So, the first step of breaking from an addiction is not avoiding it. Kwa sababu, you are going to avoid it. Upeane all those movies. Okay? I used to have, unakumbuka zile CD, tulikuwanga na mkebe ya CD, tulikuwanga na 100 CDs na VCD za porn. I used to have hiyo mkebe ya 100 imejaa na ingine imejaa. So one day, I woke up and I told Mojiru, I said, usiniambie venye utafanya with all these movies, but find a way to get rid of them. So she went and she put them in a pit latrine where we used to stay. Kulikuwa na choo ya nje na ya nyumba, so zikaenda zikaekwa kwa pit latrine. And after some time, I started missing them. Unajua? So nikaona sasa juu siwezi tafuta VCD ama DVD na maneno ya flash imekuja, wacha niende kwa msee wa videos aniwekee porn kwa flash. Alafu I feature ndani ya movie. So kuna movie, so unajua Monjiro hawezi watch cartoon. So hii folder itasema ni cartoon, but ndani nitaficha porn. You get what I'm saying? So you feel really bad after umelapse. You're back to the same thing. You're like, oh shit, man. You feel bad. You're feeling weak. You're hating yourself. But it's because we were approaching it in the wrong way. AKA, you are approaching an addiction by avoiding it. But avoiding an addiction is not the solution. Kwa sababu, flash zilikuja, tukaingia nini? Digital world. So you are fully connected to the internet. So, do you need a flash? Si una Google tu, unaenda hapo unaandika Pornhub, porn site, whatever, na zinakam. Even more than the just agent ulikuwa nazo. You get what I'm going with this? And this is for both men and women. So, the first step, everyone has got their own addiction. Whether it's alcohol, tobacco, gossip, because that's also an addiction. There's nothing wrong with gossip, but it's an addiction. Hiyo mnaita chai. So this live is specifically on how to break from an addiction, whatever addiction you're addicted to. And you need to make points and write them down so that utazitumia. Okay? Now, there should be a master class for sale. But it's not for sale. This is for my soul group. When you're the soul group. So now, and there's a reason I'm speaking about this. Yesterday, Tuesday morning, aka Monday night, sikulala. So Monday night, I lost sleep around 2 a.m. So there was a dog that was barking the whole night. Hiyo umbo ilikuwa inapiga kelele. The whole night it was barking. So it got me thinking, I'm like, why is the dog barking usiku mzima na huku kunakuwa kumenyamaza? A single solitary dog. And why are my dogs quiet? Why are my dogs not making noise? Why is Coco not barking? Why is Bob not barking? Na Mogo hajakuwa, the black dog has not been around. So what I did, I got out of the bed. Nikaamka, took my torch, I got out. Mi hakuna time stokangi nje, okay? No matter what happens, mi nasikia kitu nje, kesi baadaye, I step outside. So I got out. Kitu ya kwanza nikarealize, Coco amekula nyumba yake. Unajua now is a big dog, anakula nyumba anatoka nje, hata hayuko kwa nyumba, ako nje. So when I got outside, I realized that the dog that was barking was in my neighbor's land na si yetu. I can always tell, hata si dog ya within, ni dogi, I don't know where the dog came from, but it was barking relentlessly. Now, being someone who's always aware of the dog barking, there's nothing like a coincidence. So nilikuwa najua, there's a reason why that dog is barking. There's a reason why. Now, sijui kama I have to accept this to my life. Najua TikTok inaniambia I have to unlock flares by accepting people in my life, but I will not accept them. So, let me see. Should I accept them wakae tu kwa background kama tunasoma, ama should I let it be? So, 27 people watching, we are not even at 10,000 likes. So, in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to put a timer. Let me put a timer right here. Let me put a timer. Where's my timer? This is my clock. Stopwatch. Timer. How do you start this? Stopwatch. I've started my stopwatch. Okay? I've started my stopwatch. In the next 5 minutes, if this live will not be at 10,000 likes, I'm ending this live. Okay? Sitakuwa nafanya live and I'm begging people to tap the screen or to share the live when the live is to help you or help people like you. If that is the case, I'll make all my video subscribers videos. Okay? I have other groups in South Africa. Na watu wengine wataka this information. I'm only doing this information because it's going to help you. In the next 5 minutes, if this live haitakuwa imefika 10k likes, I dare you, I'm ending this live. So, what happened? Now, even forget about the dog anyway. Fuck the dog. Let's talk about this. So, I don't even have to explain why the message came for me to bring you the message. Because si ati nimekaa tu hivi nikafikia nikuje niongea about addiction. No, this was a message that came, started with the dogs at night. The fact that when I got back to bed at 2 a.m., I didn't sleep. I only slept last night, jana, midnight. Midnight. 27 hours later from the time the dogs were barking, and I didn't even know from the dog, and then the messages that zenye nilipata jana. This is why I'm bringing you this live. This is why I decided to make this live, because specifically there's a reason for this live. Anyway, I won't even look at the whether you are tapping the screen or whatever. 5 minutes. Anyway, so forget about the dogs or even where the message came from. You just take the message now. Okay? So, for you to break your addictions, you have to use hate. Now, hate, there's nothing wrong with hate. Hate is an emotion. Remember, feeling is the emotion. We came from the women first. We came from the egg first. We came from the feminine. Maito, Tiamat, Aya, Gath, God is female, and all that bullshit. So we came from feeling. So hate is a feeling. So you have to use a feeling to heal. There's nothing wrong with hate if you know how to use hate. So this is going to be a video teaching you how to use hate to break from addiction. Especially for the men. And if you don't want this, mnaweza endelea kunyonga. You can continue being in your weaker versions of yourself. This is not even about time ya kubembeleza watu wazima anymore. It's on you. Or you can go and join Githaiga and the weak men on gossiping. Okay? I don't care. Or the bishops. So, where's the moon? Let me first of all understand why I'm talking like this. Let me understand where this comes. Moon is in Sagittarius. I should even be talking about like this. A good day for filing applications. It's not even a day. I should not even be overloading myself. The moon is in my legs, my thighs. That is why I can't overload. But let's get back to the live. So, you have to use what you call hate. The people who tell you to set a routine to overcome an addiction are doing that based on a curriculum or what you call a template that has been set to make you fail. Because you actually don't even know what an addiction is. For you to break an addiction, you have to go deeper, you have to go spiritual. Okay? An addiction is not like any other habit. An addiction is a template created to keep you in your lower versions by design. Addictions are strongly connected to your emotion. And it's not the emotion, it's the habit. So you have a habit, but the habit is connected to an emotion. Sijui kama unashika venye nimesema. An addiction is a habit, but it is connected to the emotion, to the mother. Now, this emotion has other emotions on its classifications, aka when you go to the emotions, we have emotions like boredom. Uko aje? Nimeboeka, that's an emotion. Okay? That's an emotion. Oh, jamaa ni mlafi. What you call greed. The 7 deadly sins. What is greed? That's an emotion. Okay? Loneliness. When someone is lonely, what is that? That is an emotion. So we have a classification the same way mulikuwa mnasoma biology ati classification plantae something. They belong to the same family, animal class, insecta na vitu kama hizo. Even when it comes to the spiritual world, what you call the legion of demons. They are demons that work together. They are angels that work together. They are emotions that go together. So addiction works with emotions, and hapa ndio utakuta emotions kama loneliness. And loneliness, boredom, greed, hizo zote. And these emotions, okay, they belong to a special class of emotions. Because these emotions dwell on what you call unresolved pain points. That's why I couldn't sleep. These are pain points. This is trauma. This is unresolved pain points. And these are the things that now are going to lead you to the addiction. No one chooses to be addicted. No one chooses to be addicted to alcohol. No one chooses to be addicted to porn. No one chooses to be addicted to cigarettes or whatever addiction you have. No. You are driven to the addiction through a pain, through a trauma, a pain point. So to soothe that pain point, you go to that emotion, but that emotion is now linked to that addiction. So if you don't know the emotion that is linking you to the addiction, hauwezi resolve. My timer is at 6 minutes, 50 seconds. So let me stop this timer. Stop the timer. Let me see if I have to carry my thread. Let me see if I have to carry my thread. Oh. So mkidhireteniwa ndio mtatap screen 12,000. So let me continue. And I don't like the fact that I have to do that, but the fact remains that TikTok iko na rules. When you go live, there are some things that you have to check. When you go into the TikTok algorithm, there are some places, there are things that are called flares. There are ndio naonanga live zangu zinaniambia zikitaka kushut down because of inactivity, because TikTok as an algorithm will only boost posts that have certain activity, whether it's comment or liking the screen na vitu kama hizo. Okay? So it's not because your taps or your likes are manifesting into anything. Okay? That's the only reason I'm saying that, because then hakuna haja nikienda kwa algorithm yangu ya TikTok nakuta my video is suppressed based on the fact that people don't like the content, because then I don't need the page. Naweza enda Facebook ama YouTube. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So back to the live. So addiction is strongly driven by emotions. So what we choose to do is deny our pain. And this is where now we get it wrong when you're trying to break this. So when you choose to deny your pain, and no one is going to tell you this unless I'm telling you this, the only way you are going to counter this addiction is by using another emotion. That is why in the Bible it says, fight fire with fire. Okay? That is why in the Bible it says, an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye. So tumerudi pale wale watu wa kanisa. So the best way to counter an addiction is by cultivating a powerful emotion against it. Remember, addiction, emotion, boredom, greed, whatever, they fall in one class. So you have to cultivate another emotion. An eye for an eye in the Bible, fight tooth with nails, I come with a flaming sword, Jesus overturning the markets in the church, and all that nonsense. Okay, so you need to cultivate another powerful emotion that can go against this. You get where I'm going with this? And the reason is because, first, society does not understand emotions. That is why you are so far away from God. Because feeling is God. Feeling is emotion. And our world is more feeling. That is why you say that the world is 80% water. That is feminine. That is feeling. So if you don't know how to understand emotions, how can you even use them to your advantage? That is the first question. So first of all, you don't understand emotions. You don't even understand your emotional side. That is why we are all emotionally immature. So if you don't understand emotions, how then can you use emotions? How can you help yourself? How can God, or how can you help God heal if you don't understand God? How can you help God become the best version of himself or herself, or whatever you want to call him? The only reason we call God he is because it's externalized and we are looking for him outside instead of going within. But we know that the answers lie within. Even your Christo told you have to go within. Within is internal, container, to the feminine. So how can you understand emotions if you don't even know your emotions? So this is where now we bring the most powerful emotion in place, which is hate. We say there's a time for everything. There's a time and place for everything. So there's also a time and place for hate. Everything has got its own time. If God created everything, it's only because everything has got its own time to be used. So there's time to use hate. Let's say you have a gambling addiction. So unaenda, unaekelea vieta, unakuliwa 200. Unaekelea vieta, unakuliwa dhao. Uko na gambling problem. Si tumesema we are talking about all addictions. Avieta imekumaliza. Betin imekumaliza. Una uninstall kidogo kidogo, una install SportPesa. Una uninstall kidogo kidogo, una install Betin. Una uninstall kidogo kidogo, unaweka Betika. Una install kidogo kidogo, unaona uni Khaligraph Jones amekuja na ingine sijui inaitwa Betway. Una install. But every time you are losing money is because you don't know how to fight it. Mimi sijakuambia uache gambling, you can still gamble. Because there are actual days when you have luck. That is why they say every dog has got its day. People in astrology, they know there are specific alignments, squares that can drop luck into your palm. Hiyo siku unaweza ekelea bet itupe, but you are lucky in one way, shape or another. For example, you saw an accident that happened the other day. Ule jamaa alibaki kwa gari yake peke yake. Hiyo sasa, hiyo ndio inaitangwa gambling. He was gambling with his life. Everybody else died. He was lucky. Hiyo ni win. Hiyo ni jackpot. But wewe huwezi ona jackpot in that way. Juu unajua jackpot ni kuiona SportPesa. But there's nothing more expensive than life. Huyu jamaa alikula jackpot. Wewe unaweza kunataka 300 million ya SportPesa, wachana na 300 million ya SportPesa. That guy has got another chance to live. He can go bed a woman, give birth to a child. That child becomes the best leader. The child writes the best book that can help millions of people. Hiyo ni jackpot. Okay? All the spiritual. So watu wanaweza mwambia, ni Mungu, kwani wale wengine walikuwa washetani wenye walikufa kwa hiyo accident. Back to the life. So, let's say you have a gambling problem, SportPesa, Betika. Let's say uko na shida ya kunyonga saa zote. Huwezi imaliza kunyonga na love. You cannot stop gambling with love. It cannot get rid of that. Happiness is not going to destroy your bad habits. So what do? When you want to remove weed in your garden, ukienda kwa shamba yako umepanda kila kitu unakuta ria imemea. What do? You kill the weeds. Unaingia kwa shamba unang'oa ria. Deda uko wera wakulimira, nataka ulimia hapa. Similarly, when you want to destroy a bad habit, you need a very powerful, destructive emotion. You need to call on hate. When you're watching the Avatar, when he's calling on all the elements, he calls on fire, water, air, and earth. And you're in charge, because you're the spirit, you're in charge of all these things. When you're watching the movies, by the power of Skeletor, you have to raise out your sword, and then you have to call all the destructive powers to your sword. By the powers of Greystone, I give you Skeletor. You lift your sword and call on all the powers to fight. Because you need the bad habits. You need hate. You need all this energy into your sword to shine it on that thing that you are going against. If you get what I'm saying. PlayStation 5, the gods of war. We are talking about video games. We are not talking about violence. Okay? Xbox, PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? So you are calling on the gods of war. You are using your sword. You are destroying the enemies in a video game. Okay? So, what happens is that a lot of you don't know how to use emotions that are powerful. You don't know how to use hate. You have not even mastered your emotions, so you don't even know how to use hate. So if you are given hate, you use it for the wrong thing. You use your hate to hate on things that can help you. You get what I'm saying? So the reason is The people you see hating on comments, what you are doing is that you are wasting away your energy. You're not supposed to be wasting your energy on hating. You're supposed to keep that energy. Hiyo ndio ile energy unafaa kuitumia kuacha kunyonga. Hiyo ndio ile energy unafaa kutumia kuquit your gambling addiction. Hate is energy that you should be storing for future use. Otherwise, most of you are working with empty tanks when you need hate, an emotion, to fight fire with fire when you need to break free of an addiction that you may be having ama kitu imekwama. Okay? So, learn how to use certain emotions, happiness, hate, greed. They are things that you need. All these things, you need them. If God created them, it means you need all these things. You created them for a reason, for a purpose. And that is where the true power lies at. Dogiroga utoe kurogora. Okay? You cannot cast out demons if you don't know how to make demons. And that is the first step to breaking away from any addiction. You have to learn how to use this power for your own good. Now, how do you do this? You get a piece of paper. Nisema utaandika. Get your flaming sword, your pen, and you start writing down. First, you have to think as many consequences of your addictions and write them down. Let me find my pen. We are going to do this with you. Let me find my pen. My pen is never far away from me. Najua iko tu hapa karibu. Fight fire with fire. Let me find, I found a pen. This is my flaming sword. Let me find a paper. Even a paper will not be very far away from me. Let me find a paper. Class in session. Page. I found my book. I have to do this practically with you because for me it's a ritual also. Okay? You also have people who come for consultations, and so these I have to do with you practically. So you can consider this a free masterclass on breaking your addictions. Now, so you get your pen and you write down you have to think. Remember, to go to heaven, you have to go through man. That is thinking, logic. So think, the first thing, your flaming sword, think as many bad consequences of your addiction, and write them down. 1. So now, you have to think about the addictions first. So let's say you're into masturbation, okay? Let's say your addiction is into porn. I said I'm going to use porn as an example because that is one of the addictions I had to break down from, okay? Now, write about how that porn addiction keeps you away from your potential. So naandika 1, time. Time for, you should be working on yourself, your goals, your dreams. Hiyo gari unashindanga ukiona ikipita kwa barabara unasema ona hiyo V8. All you need to do maybe ni uache tu kunyonga, hiyo V8 ni yako. Okay? So you look at it like this. When I'm choking my monkey, what is happening? You are absorbing your time and energy. So umeandika time na energy. Remember, an orgasm takes a lot from you when it comes to energy. When you remember, there's a difference between ejaculation and an orgasm. So most of the time when you masturbate, it's ejaculation. And when you ejaculate, unasikianga. So what has happened? You have lost some energy and now you want to sleep or whatever is happening. Okay? So what does it do? Unaandika number 2. What does porn do? It makes you, ukinyonga unafikia nini? Shame. You are writing everything down because now you have decided you have to deal with it. What does it make you do? You are shameful. Ndio maana unafunga mlango na ufunguo. you pull the curtains. There is shame involved. Okay, you are shameful. Imagine mtoto wako ameingia kwa bedroom, amekuta baba ananyonga. So there is shame. It doesn't even matter whether it's your girlfriend, you are with your girlfriend. There is shame, not just to you, but even the person who finds you doing it. So this shame goes two ways. Let's say for example you have a boyfriend. Amekukula, mnakulananga, alafu mnakuta kinyonga na mlikuwa na yeye. There is shame. You feel so much shame like, na si I have my pussy here na zimekupea. Why are you still nyongaing? You get what I'm saying? So there is shame. So unaziandika. You feel like a pathetic father. Okay? So unaandika hapo. Unaandika number 3. This makes me feel like a pathetic father. Si tunadeal nazo. Pathetic father. Masterclass in session. So unaandika. This makes me feel pathetic. Remember, in this channel, there's no hate. I'm going to accept this person. Akae tu hapo wasome. All these people I'm going to...
Oh my God.
Bye. Mute that fucking mic and learn. Motherfuckers. I'll mute them. Wacha walana hapo. Hao wote ni watu wa kunyonga. Wamekuja hapa. Okay? So, what happens is that you want to remind yourself of these things. So, umeandika, this makes me feel like a pathetic father. This makes me feel shameful. Time that you're consuming. So, what you're doing, you have to understand the reason Nime accept is because TikTok has got this thing where there's some things I need to unlock, and to unlock I have to go live with other people who are live creators. So Nime accept and then Nime mute, fuck them. So when you turn that addiction into your enemy, this is what is going to happen. So, okay? Yeah, they are disconnecting. Na ni poa sana wanaingia, wana disconnect. So, when you have written down how you are feeling, unaandika number 4. You feel depressed. Okay? After that, you feel depressed. So, depression, why do you feel depressed? Because this has lowered your testosterone as a man. Testosterone. Most of you have already discovered that I have a new product, inaitwa Optimum Me. So I've resolved to even going beyond getting men products to restore their testosterone na vitu kama hizo. Wale wananijua, go to my page, you are going to find Optimum Me. Remember I used to have that men's product ilikuwa inaitwa Black Steel on my other YouTube channel. Sasa niko na ingine inaitwa Optimum Me from India, directly sourced from the ingredients, the ginseng, the tongue duct alley, all these things that you need committee to restore your virility. I have a product. I'll talk about it in another live. So, you have to go very dark into how these things make you feel. You have to go very dark. You have to, so not heal, you have to go very dark. So you have to link all these things into the list that you are writing. You have to turn that addiction into an enemy. Because hate should only be used against an enemy. So you have to turn your addiction, whatever you are going through, into an enemy first. You have to create an enemy out of that. Now, there's nothing wrong with an enemy. It's just that you have the wrong definition of an enemy. Kwa sababu the word is limited in your language. Let me define enemy for you from your Google. Define an enemy.
This is the definition of enemy. A person who is actively opposed or hostile to someone or something.
You see? So an enemy is just an opponent. So you have to make that thing that you're suffering from an opponent. There's nothing wrong with an enemy. It has to be a rival. You are rivaling that. So according to the dictionary, a person who is actively opposed. So this thing is opposing your dreams. Hii kunyonga is opposing to your dreams. Hii kitu it is opposing to how you relate with other people, your women, your girlfriend, your daughters, your family na vitu kama hizo. Okay? So, that is the definition of an enemy. You see, you live in such a world where you are so limited in words. Ukisikia tu jina enemy, the first thing you think an enemy is someone is wrong. No, an enemy is just an opposition. In the government, when you have an opposition party, that is an enemy. That is why wanachapa na tear gas akina Raila, because you are opposing And there's nothing wrong with opposing something. Ndio maana tunakuanga na debate. In front of you is Jagam with a car opposing this thing that says you need love to get out of addiction. No, you don't need love. You need hate as an emotion. Ni sawa? Now that you have created that enemy, okay? So you start reading this list daily. So you hang it somewhere, utakuwa unaiona kwa bedroom ama every day ama bathroom. Wherever you go every day, mali utakuwa unaenda unaiona, you hang that list there. So what are you doing? So you are programming your subconscious. I told you this is a master class. Your subconscious. So you are programming your you see these videos. These are the masterclass videos that will be paid for thousands of dollars down the line for people to access them, because you're in a world where the solutions you are being given have not been working. If they had been working, we would be having cures today. We don't have cures today. We still have wars today. We still have to kill children today to come to an agreement. And this is a new world. So we are setting up the new world. Welcome to the new world. So when you write down that thing, utakuwa unaiona every day, what are you doing? You are training your psyche. This is what is called subliminal messages. The same subliminal messages they bring you on their movies. What is happening to my life? Oh, we are still live, eh? We are still live. Inactivity on your screen. Anyway, mutap, muspotap. What I'll do actually, after this live, I'm going to download this live and I'm going to maybe put it somewhere else for future, or send it to someone to edit it or whatever. You don't have to appreciate it. So when you write it down, what you're doing is you're training your subconscious mind. And what you're training your subconscious mind to do is to resent those activities. Not wewe, not what you're watching, the activity. So you are training your subconscious to resent that activity. Not the porn, not the cigarette, not the betting. No, you are resenting the activity, because the activity ndio kuna hiyo time. You get where I'm going with this? Because nimekuambia you cannot get out of an addiction by hating the addiction or cutting or reducing it. We are going to the core. So this is what happens. So even if you are caught by temptations, your subconscious brain is trained to fight against it. Remember, most of the times when unakuanga on autopilot, hata ujuangi, you are driving, you're on autopilot, unakanyanga. So most of the time we are like robots, NPCs, hatukuangi sisi wenyewe. For example, right now you are breathing. Ulikuwa unakumbuka una breathe? Hapana. Ulikuwa unakumbuka your brain is working? No. Ulikuwa unakumbuka your heart is working or your blood? So most of the time you are on autopilot. So when you are training your subconscious, when you are unconscious, it's your subconscious. Your subconscious has been trained to resent those activities. So even when you are caught off guard by a temptation to get on porn, to get on your addiction, and it's not an addiction, it's a pain, we are getting there. How you get there? Your subconscious brain is trained to fight against that. And I'm going to give you the tools and the arms on how you fight that. Okay? Now, before I move on to the next part about breaking the addictions, I want to remind you of something very important. Every addiction, like we said, write this down. Every addiction is linked to a strong emotion. Strong emotion. That emotion has to be very strong to overweigh you. Emotions are waves. Makobe. Huho. Huho. Sitago huho. Emotions. Nyarikirio huho joru. So every addiction is linked to a strong emotion. So these emotions can be one, loneliness. Okay? One, loneliness. Okay? So loneliness can lead you to choking the monkey. Ni ukweli ama si ukweli? You are alone. you are feeling dejected, you are feeling low. Most of the time unanyonganga ukiwa peke yako au nyongangi mkiwa group, mnakuanga na watu wengine. Most of the time when the pain comes unaingia kuitisha kanudhu peke yako. You get where I'm going with this? So loneliness can be a pain, what you call a strong emotion. So every addiction, strong emotion. In this case, the strong emotion could be coming from not even you. Ndio nakwambianga, give yourself grace. It's not even new. You could have picked it as a child. Your mother may have been leaving you behind, anaenda kuona kama uabuchari. You may have felt neglected as a child and became lonely. Au kunyonyeshwa. Your mama didn't want matiti zake zianguke, akakupea chupa. So you developed a loneliness, a trauma from a young age, which you compensate as an adult by choking the monkey, or by being in addiction, or by being in gambling. Okay? Sasa wewe utokangi SportPesa, hi pussy. How are you? Ndio umekuja kusikiza loneliness na addictions. Shout out to Silo. Shout out to the beautiful calf, the beautiful cat. She gave birth. She has Virgo children. So she gave us children, Virgo, black and white kitten, a moja brown. The sun was in Virgo, and we had a new moon in Virgo. So we have Virgo babies. We have virgin in kona virgin Mary in the house. Shout out to her. She has big boobs now. She's breastfeeding. Ona kona nyonyo. Kama tumtengenezee bra. Kona maziwa. She drink cat's milk, eh? So, back to the live. So, that loneliness, okay? So, amekuja confirm that's important message. You know, cats are spiritual. So, she's here. So, that loneliness, now that you have trained your subconscious to work even when you are not aware, so, now this is what you are calling. You are creating your own legion of spiritual guardship without you knowing. So you have other things working behind the scenes. So whatever you are doing, now you are creating your own legion of armies to fight for you. This is what you call the way of the gods. So right now we are speaking the language of the gods. We are not just speaking about a normal video. Sasa tumeingia spirituality behind the scenes. We are talking of emotions and loneliness. Okay? So, what you need to understand, for you to destroy your addictions, you need to have that other strong emotion to fight with that. Fight fire with fire. So, you don't need to understand the root of the problem. You don't need to understand kama ni mamako alikuangusha ukiwa mtoto, so you felt lonely. You don't need to understand whether your mother was a hoe, so you to leave you, ama breastfeed. You don't need to understand the kind of trauma you underwent for you to get that addiction, because it's a reaction to some pain. We don't even want you to go into your history. You can't even remember your dream yenye uliota jana usiku. So what makes you think you are going to remember where you picked your trauma from? Sasa nikikuuliza uliota, unaniambianga niliota. Uliota nini? Sikumbuki. Kama huwezi kumbuka kitu umeota usiku, what makes you think you are going to remember where you picked your trauma from? So we are not here to remember our trauma. We are here to heal and thrive. So we are here to bring the tools to deal with the trauma. Ulikuwa unachapwa na mamako, anakuuma, anakutoa nyama, anakuchuna, anakutoa ngozi. So that made you feel lonely because your mother was supposed to protect you. So now you are stuck in an addiction. Wewe ni mlevi. You saw that mother on TikTok hapa akiongea maneno ya kulewa, ati analewango mpaka ana blackout. So we don't care about where you got your pain from. What we want to create is a tool. Learning how to use hate as an emotion to deal with that emotion. You are following? Now, tuko kwa loneliness. Tumeandika nini? So tumesema you are writing the bad consequences of your addiction. You wrote time, shame, pathetic, depressed. So you created an enemy. First, you have to create an enemy. Because remember, you'll be going to war. So you cannot go to war if you don't know who you are going to war against. So you are creating an enemy. spiritually speaking, you have to create now that enemy. You have to give it a meaning. You have to give it a face. You cannot go fighting against something this faceless. And this is where your church leaders get it wrong, akina Pastor Ng'ang'a, because they make you fight with things you don't know. Kemea, unakemea kitu ujui. You have first of all to create the enemy yenye unakemea. You get what I'm going with this? So, now you start using the hatred that you created to deal with your addiction instantly. However, when you're dealing with it, to know where you are going, you need to know where you're coming from. You still have to come back to how. Understand how you even got that addiction in the first place. How did you get that addiction in the first place? You will come back to that. But for now, atuko hapo. For now, tuko on fighting dirty. This is the language of the God. Now you need to get your hands dirty and fight this vice that you are facing. Now, so now you have a fight between temptation and willpower. Willpower. Mwenye mtakuwa Folk Fusion, I'll be at Folk Fusion wearing my willpower costume. If you be at Folk Fusion on the, I think 22nd or 27th or 22nd, whichever Saturday that is, whichever day, I think it's on the 22nd Saturday for the event, I'll be wearing my my willpower costume. If you go into Marvel characters, hizi vitu hazikuwangi zimefichwa. There is a character, is it the Avengers? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Willpower. So now we are going to spiritual mode. This is even where we say, may thy will be done as it is done in heaven, as above in your mind, fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, aka the thought, the feeling, the creature, the six-pointed star. May thy will, as it is done in heaven, more out there in the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension, be done down here, aka into 1 and 2 and 3 dimension, into your world. Willpower. Images. So if you type willpower, the images that are going to come will be images like this. You type willpower, this will be the images that are going to come. You need now to get into your strength now. Okay? So, which is a single moment of weakness. So, what happens is this. This is what you have to need and learn. Temptation and willpower. The odds are always on the side of temptation, aka temptation will always win. I'll give you an example. This is Silo, okay? My cat. We are more than one cat. So, nikifungua hii mlango ya kuenda kitchen, he knows he's not supposed to go into the kitchen. But temptation will always win. He will always find himself in the kitchen. Hata kama nimemwekea chakula hapa, chakula yake, akule akunywe maziwa, temptation will always win. Temptation will always win over willpower. So you need to, may thy will be done. Willpower, zikifight na temptation, temptation will always win. So now, this is where now you need to put on your armor of God. Write this down. A single moment of weakness is more than enough for temptation to strike you down. So, si ati temptation inashindwa ama inaachwa. No, temptation strikes you down. The moment you are weak, kidogo tu, you are just weak a second, temptation strikes you down. So you resort to your bad behavior. Okay? All of a sudden now you are like, so you are so used to fucking around, giving your gedhambuda to every Dom, Dick, and Harry. So, a strong weakness, you feel like you have to fuck anybody now. And you feel bad. So there's a trick where you sabotage temptation before the fight even begins. Okay? So now tumeingia sabotage. This is the art of war, the true spiritual war, how you do it. So, one, kuna watu nasikia wakisema, siku hizi sitakangi kutembea na watu wana smoke, so they stop seeing their smoking friends. Wengine wanasema, kuanzia leo hakutakuwa kwa nyumba yangu. kuanzia leo sitakuwa naenda na simu kwa bedroom, juu nikienda kwa simu kwa bedroom nalanga saa 8 nikiwa online. Kuanzia leo saa 3 nitakuwa nazima internet. You get? So you are sabotaging temptation. Whatever your addiction is, unaisabotage. So you are distancing yourself from that as much as possible. Nilikuwa nimezoea kuenda Kamakis, sitakuwa napitia hapo. So una sabotage temptation. Because temptation will always win when brought against the odds. Okay? Weakness. Ikiingia kidogo, temptation inaanguka. So you have your willpower, your ring, and then you have temptation. So what are you doing? Since willpower will never win against temptation, most of the time temptation in a win, una sabotage temptation. So you start looking at the sacrifices that you need to change and only take those ones that you are able to. Zenye huwezi acha, usiache. Okay? Whatever your addiction is, you distance yourself. Usiache, you distance. So ulikuwa unaingia Kamakis every night. Distance upitiange once a week. Just once. Once a week unapitia. So ni sabotage. So this is what you do. Write this down. You do not battle temptation with willpower. Willpower. Don't battle temptation. Don't battle temptation with willpower. You will lose. Temptation is very strong. Okay? You don't do that. Don't battle temptation with willpower. You only do that as a last resort. Last resort. So this is spiritual. You can only do what you call a willpower ritual that involves a ring. Let me show you the ring. Or the Green Lantern. When you aliona the Green Lantern, the movie, haikuwa movie, willpower, Green Lantern ring. This is a ritual. Okay? You need this ring if you're into rituals. Kama unajua. So that is a last resort. Before you get there, that is a last resort. So what do? Make it an uneven fight. You are fighting dirty now. This is the way of the gods. You are fighting dirty. So how do? So if you are fighting dirty, it's when mmeenda kupigana na mtu. So amekuja ngumi, sasa you have willpower, temptation. So mtu anaenda kukuja ngumi, unachukua mchanga, unarushia yeye kwa macho, unachukua kiti, you are fighting that, inaitangwa street fight. To fight your addictions, the war of the gods is called street fight. You strike fast before they strike. Due temptation will always put you down. So you make it an uneven fight. So you don't give your enemy, in this case the temptation, an opening to pick up its sword. You pick up your sword before it. You get what I'm saying? So you finish your temptations before they even tempt you. In other words, you charge your environment and you make it as difficult as possible for your addictions to rule you in, because your addictions are powerful car shit. So what do? You destroy the environment for addiction to come. So addiction takuja, man, you're not fighting fair. You're like, who gives a shit? And how do you do that? You move. Shout out to Mufasa. He's doing a beautiful job in Rongai, anafunza young men boxing, which is a type of masculine discipline. So in boxing, you don't box from one corner. Okay? When you're wananijua in fitness industry, you know that I used to do meets workouts where I'm holding the meets for the boxers. Hata the police boxers wananijua holding the meets, aka keeping you moving all the time. And I'm going to get back into that for discipline. Okay? So the trick is to move. Regular exercise is very good for dealing with addictions. That is why watoto wakienda kwa jeshi ama army wanafanyishangwa exercise, morning run. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu asubuhi ni unamkanga umesteady. So to kill that temptation of having boys kwa jeshi wakinyonga manki wamejifunika na blanketi, what do? You wake up at 4 a.m. to go for the morning run. Because what are they doing? They are training them for war. That is the way of the gods. Okay? Exercise. To deal with addiction, you need to move. Exercise, regular exercise. Ukijoin jeshi ama youth, wanakuamshanga saa 10 ukimbie. See, because wanataka ukimbie. It's not about fitness. Hakuna mali utaenda kukimbia fitness. Even in war, you are supposed to move silently. Unaenda, 3 men, move that way, crouch. Munanyemeleananga kwa war. So hakuna mali utaenda kukimbia kwa jeshi. Hakuna. But they make you do regular exercises to deal with your addiction. Because they know, vijana wote tumeleta hapa wako na addiction. Na for their pain, they are going to look for an outlet. And one of the outlets ni kunyonga. So they give you the morning run. I told you this is a spiritual page. Don't think tunamkanga kukimbia ati ndio kuwe fit. Unakimbia nini fit and you're in the army and you're supposed to even have cars and guns and tanks and warriors na vitu kama hizo. So a sedentary lifestyle is the mother of all addictions. Men, understand this. Movement is a killer of addiction. Movement helps you manage your mental health. So start moving. You can't smoke weed and you are running. Huwezi kuwa unachoma ati ndakupiga kimunju na unakimbia. It's not possible. The only time you are going to smoke weed is when umemaliza kazi umekaa chini. Okay? You can't be boxing and then unabox unaambiwa give me 1 2 1 2, give me 1 2 1 2, give me a combo 3 4 1 3 4 4 1 and then you're like wacha kwanza ni nyonge. No, you can't. So movement is a killer of addiction. You can't gamble. Huwezi go into gambling na uko kwa maji una swim. You have joined a swimming club but una swim. Wala wa Kikuyu una swim, Ogoga Aquatics una swim, alafu una swim unasema ati hebu kwanza niwekelee bet juu hata utakuwa na simu kwa maji. So when you are moving intently, it's hard for you to feel sorry for yourself, pathetic about yourself. So that is the beautiful thing about exercising. So this is what happens. When you are exercising, you release these natural chemicals, dopamine, the endorphins. These are the same endorphins you release when you jack off. When you release, they are the same endorphins that you release. They make you feel good. You release, you calm, you make... So those endorphins, those dopamine, you can get them from exercises. Okay? But you're getting them now in a natural way. So you don't need to rely on porn or addictions or gambling to get them. In fact, it becomes cheap getting them from that. It's like you are getting cheap endorphins. You are getting cheap, good feel hormones. The rich ones, the organic ones, ziko kwa exercising or what you call moving. You get what I'm going with this? So because you're already getting the good feelings from exercise, organic, you don't need the answers that you're getting from porn or from these other addictions like Aviator na vitu kama hizo. So in the way of the gods, because my page now is about creating divine masculine men, gods walking on this earth. We have too many demons walking in this world now. We need gods in men bodies walking. If you go and watch the movie American Gods, let them give us the movie American Gods. Let's create our own African gods. Let's have our own Ogun. Let's have our own princesses, goddesses. Let's have our own Oshuns. Let's have our own Yemayas walking in bodies. Let's have our own gods walking in the human flesh in this world. So men, you need to find a purpose now. Because when a man lacks purpose, that is when he gets distracted with pleasures. So if you're lacking a purpose and you're a man, that is now when you start doing dumb things. And it is expected. Because even your Bible tells you that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Si mimi, ni yo Bible yenyu. Okay? When a man is driven by a strong purpose, You cannot waste your time and energy on futile activities. Great men do not become alcoholics. I'm not saying that Ruto is a great man, but you can learn from these people because they are still great men. They are called presidents. Whether they are puppets of other people, they are still great men. They have a strict way. They are purpose driven. It's not easy to you cannot become a president without being disciplined. So stop hating on them and look at them and take the good things from them. Ruto may be whatever he is, but he has a purpose. Take the lesson from that. Take that lesson. Push it into whatever you want to do. You're not going to become a president, but you can become your own president. Refuse what you call cheap tricks. Start looking for routines so that you can avoid your addictions. And I told you, your addictions, you don't have to understand your addictions. Stop trying to understand your addictions or hating yourself for your addictions. Give yourself grace because your addictions are spiritual. These are generational curses. You don't even know where you pick them from. So unless you deal with the addictions by learning the ways of the gods, becoming new beings now. New beings now. Where you are starting from the core of your being. And there's a reason I didn't start with purpose as the first thing that you need to break your addiction. There's a reason I didn't start with purpose. Because it is easier to cultivate hate, how you wrote it down. It is easy to cultivate hate against your addiction than it is to find your purpose in life. It is very hard to find your purpose in life for most of you. Even the people who come for consultations, the first thing we usually do is find their purpose. We go to their chat, we sit down, I ask them, so what do you do? So what's your purpose in life? What's your passion in life? And this becomes very hard. Ask any man their purpose in life. Anakuambia si mwanaume kazi yake ni kuzaa. Si kazi ya mwanaume ni kulea. You see, it's hard. But the moment you start cultivating hate first, which is a very good emotion, against your addictions, then your purpose will find you. Your purpose will find you. Finally, you'll be looking at yourself as the greatest man and you'll be like, people watakuja and how did you get here? And you cannot even explain how you became such a great man. But you became a great man by cultivating hate, which is an emotion, a beautiful emotion, if you know how to use it. And you use that hate, that emotion, to fight against emotion, which was temptation. Let me sip on my drink. You want my drink? Nikupe kidogo. You want the food of the gods? So, a true purpose is one of the most effective ways and powerful ways to break addictions. And we've been there, done that. Sometimes I even test myself. That is how fucked up I can be. Sometimes I'll even pick a phone and Google porn. And I look at it and I'm like, man, I've come from far. If this does not excite me as much, I've come from far. Remember what we said. You do not break an addiction by avoiding it. You break an addiction by creating tools to go against that. Now, the greatest weapon formed against you shall not do what? Win against you. What do I mean? It's also very important that you learn to do nothing. We are in a world where we are programmed to grab pleasures the moment we feel bored. Unaboeka, unaingia TikTok, wacha nione moshene, wacha nione gossip, wacha nitafute chai. Why? Because you are bored. Okay? So sometimes you don't have to do anything. You don't always have to work. You can also do nothing. I'm not saying that ukae kwa kitanda inanuka nikisema nothing. No, I'm talking about purposefully. You are intentionally doing nothing. Unakaa tu chini. Unakaa chini. You see, I've been practicing this and my daughter has been finding me nimekaa chini kwa balcony. Anakuja ananiuliza, "Awa, I was calling you everywhere." Anakuja, they are used to seeing me with headphones. And sometimes I use my headphones because they have a noise cancellation feature and I'm not even listening to anything. So most of the time they think I'm listening to music. Sometimes naekanga hiyo noise cancellation, I'm blocking the noise from outside. I'm listening to the inside, the silence. Okay? So I'm just seated, I'm doing nothing. Anakuja niambia, "Awa, what are you doing?" Namwambia nothing. So she cannot understand, what do you mean you are doing nothing? Aniambia mama nikukaa tu, namwambia nimekaa chini, but I'm doing nothing. So you reprogram yourself to be okay with doing nothing. Because these addictions inakujanga because we have been brought in a world where you think you always have to do something. And that something sometimes is not working, so it has to be a bad thing, like gambling or soothing your pain. And it's okay to do nothing. When you're doing nothing, that is when God comes to you. Wale wa meditation wanajua hivyo. I'm not going to go deep into that right now, into the nothingness, okay? Because there's a different topic about quitting addiction through nothingness. That's a different one. But there's still power in doing nothing. Ni sasa. Because it helps to decrease what you call anxiety, the anxiousness that you're supposed to be doing something. But when you're doing nothing, that is the only time that you bring your creativity to the surface. And when you are bringing your creativity to the surface, that is how you boost productivity. Out of nowhere, you'll be productive by sitting down in a tangwa, going God mode. Sini sasa? So shout out to everyone. Naona already tuko Gemini. It's 10:35 Gemini. So shout out to everyone who was in the comments. Shout out to you. Shout out to the mayor, 20,000 likes. Okay. Kila mtu angetupea 1,000 likes or 10,000 likes tungekuwa 200,000. However, I'm not complaining. Sikupenda kwenyu. So shout out to everyone in the comments. Each one teach one. It was beautiful for you to come for the masterclass on how to break your addictions. Wherever you are. Na hope umelearn. I cannot teach you something new. I can only remind you of something you already knew. That is something you already knew inside you. Ni sasa. So all you have to do is remember how to do that and how to go into nothingness, because God is nothing. Ni sasa. Silo is lonely. Yeah, Silo just gave birth the other day. She has kittens. She's lying on my lap. She enjoys being on my lap. Sindio Silo. Shout out to the beautiful pussycat. Beautiful pussycat. And so I'll be out of here in the next 4 minutes. So I'm just browsing your comments. Now namukuwa na a lot of questions because you are learning. That is beautiful. I don't know how much I need this. Shout out to Jenga. John Wawero. The way we are tapping, have mercy on us. It's just for the algorithm, is to keep the live up. You know, that's how I talk, even when I'm threatening you. That's my moon in Leo. You know, that's not who I am. That's what I'm masking with my sun. Okay? You have to use your sun to protect your moon. And sometimes my moon has to come out and play. So you see, there was no comments. People were liking the live. So shout out to everyone in the comments. Each one teach one. Dingori wa Vorwa Kawa. Thank you, Amudhaka. I've learned a lot from you. You're most welcome. Ni sasa. Shout out to Holy Man. Shout out to Holy Man. Subscription only. Jenga, there's something you wanted we write on the wall to reprogram ourselves. I talked about it. I said it's you write the things that you hate. The things that you hate out of your addiction. Addictions are different. There are people who are addicted to drinks and alcohol. So if you being addicted to alcohol means you never have money, you're always broke, you're always in fight. Those are the things you write down. So unaziandika mahali utakuwa unaziona. If your addiction, I was giving an example of porn as an addiction because that is what I was in. There's many addictions. There's gambling, there's alcohol, there's gossip, wala wachai saa zote. All these are, so you write those things down and how they make you feel. So you are training your subliminal, your subconscious. Every time ukiziona, wewe unafikiria uoni, but from the corner of your eye can still remember things you hate, things you don't like. And it's training you. So remember, everything is spiritual first before the physical. So by default, you'll start finding yourself, hata utakuwa unapata your time, you'll start finding yourself forgetting. One day you'll be browsing your phone, you're like, oh wait, nakuanga na sport pesa. Yeah, because your subconscious trained you not to look at it. Si ati iko kwa simu, now you are looking into other applications or even none. You get it? That's how you do it. Sasa, LJM, I love you back. So do have a beautiful day. We are going to create a new beautiful world. We are going to create a new beautiful world because we are the people who are in this world today. The 5 pillars that run the world have no solution. We still have wars in 2024. From World War I, World War II. Now they are preparing you for World War III. What about to talking? What happened to sitting down and having conversations and agreeing? Emotional maturity. Why do you have to kill children? Why do you have to destroy property? So that shows you that whatever has been happening has not been working. Politics has not been working. We are still voting. Why do you have to vote every 5 years? It's because whatever we are doing has not been working. Every government has to promise. So we have to bring a new world, aka bring a new heaven down here. It says so in the Bible. You are the walking gods. You are the walking goddesses. You are the walking priests. You are the walking priestesses. You are representation of God. Make this world a beautiful world again. Okay? Your children will thank you for that. Our fathers, our great-grandfathers, they didn't do this. So we are here now. Ni sisi tuko. And we are going to make the changes. As a community. We are going to heal together and thrive together. Let's have something against this thing that has been running this world. Okay? Take out your armors. Put on your armors of gods and goddesses. Take out your flaming swords. Because we don't have cures in 2024. People are still dying from diseases. Meaning, whatever has been working has not been working for our own benefits. So it's about time. Do have a beautiful Thursday. It's called Mercury Day. It's a day for communication. I have to end this live because I have to get into my subscription only lives. I have not been doing my subscription only lives for my subscribers, and that is an injustice to them. So I have to go there and tell them the things that I cannot tell everyone on this live. There are some things that are only for people who have gone the extra mile to learn them. Deep spiritual shit. Because nothing is for free. Ni sawa? I hope you find this helpful to fight your addictions. Not stop your addictions immediately or avoid them, but learn each day how to just look at them and sit down with your addictions and cheers. Cheers, addiction. We used to be buddies here. Now you can drink together, but I'm not entertaining you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What is that? Pornhub. What is that? What is that? Yeah, cheers. Been there, done that. Ni sasa. Ciao, ciao.